Welcome to this short series on practical seamanship. This series is meant for the volunteer crew of the Reedville Fishermen's Museum Historic Vessel Claude W. Summers. I'm Captain Tom Briggs, and today we're covering weather. There are three things we're going to cover today. We're going to cover weather apps, which are a modern convenience that every sailor needs to use. A little bit about NOAA weather charts, not a lot, but a little bit, and mostly the use of the Mark I eyeball. The weather apps that we're going to cover for the most part are Wind Alert, Windy, and Predict Wind. I don't use Predict Wind much at all, but I'm told that it does give weather routing for long distance cruising. With Wind Alert, what you do is you scroll into an area of interest on the map, click on the wind icon near where you have that interest, click on the pop-up, and then scroll down to see the weather. It gives you daily, weekly, a blend of different predictions. You can also scroll down to get the NOAA Marine Weather Forecast, which I use quite a bit, and usually day before or even 2 days before it's the most accurate prediction. I think Windy's the best. I use it more often than anything else. But when you're using Windy, I would recommend using the European model. You can, and I'll show you how in a second, but you can go through and use different models for wind prediction. I think 3 days out, Windy probably gives you the best prediction. You can scroll out to get the movement of the wind in broad weather patterns, or you can scroll in to get the micro wind in a region. You can also tap on the screen to get the wind at a certain point. If you tap on the red circle with 3 bars in the lower right corner, you can change the view to show weather, radar, prediction, precipitation, temperature, even it does have the Gulf Stream in there, which I found out recently. Also, if you scroll down, you can change the model that is used, whether you want to use a European model, the American model, etc. The European model is highlighted because that's the one I use. When it comes to NOAA weather charts, I really only look at the 3-day weather forecast map, and then really only to see how the low pressure and high pressure is intended to move and where the cold fronts are. So basically, and I'll go through in a second, the reason that the low pressure and high pressure are both important is because of the way the wind turns around them. Low pressure systems, the winds turn counterclockwise and in high pressure, they turn clockwise and out. This is a better depiction of how the high and low pressure wind systems work. So again, the wind in a high pressure system moves clockwise and down, and the wind in a low pressure system moves counterclockwise and up. As my chief in the Navy said, the Mark I eyeball is the best tool any sailor has. Everyone's heard these phrases before. Red sky in morning, sailor take warning. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. They go all the way back to biblical times, but it is something that I think has a degree of truth in it. The high pressure systems and low pressure systems that we've talked about before are why these sayings exist. Red sky in morning, sailor take warning. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. And it's good to remember that the prevailing winds in North America move from west to east. So red sky in morning. When a high pressure system is moving away from you in the morning to the east, you'll get a red sky because you're looking through lots of air of that high pressure system. But what's pushing it out? It's the low pressure system behind it. So really what's red sky in morning, sailor take warning, is because the high pressure system is moving away and there's a low pressure system bringing worse weather in behind it. So your day is going to get worse. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. The same is true of that red sky in the evening to the west as you're looking to the west. There's a low pressure system over you, but the high pressure system to the west is pushing it out and is bringing better weather with it. It's good to remember that cloud formations are an indicator of weather, they're not a guarantee. We've all heard that phrase that mare's tails and mackerel scales make tall ships carry low sails. Basically, what you're seeing on the left are mare's tails. They're high altitude cirrus clouds that can appear about 24 hours before bad weather. Following that, within 12 hours, you should start seeing mackerel scales come in, which is the picture on the right. Basically, they're lowering clouds that look like fish scales and usually appear about 12 hours before bad weather. I do use the weather apps to see the predicted change in wind, but you can actually feel it if you were looking around. If the wind is turning counterclockwise, it's called a backing wind. Which pressure system does that? Which pressure system turns counterclockwise? If the wind is turning clockwise, it's called a veering wind. Which pressure system does that? A backing wind is turning counterclockwise, which indicates that it's a low pressure system moving through. A veering wind means that the wind is turning clockwise and a high pressure system is moving through. One of those brings good weather, one of them brings bad weather. When we're looking at sea state, I really go back to Admiral Francis Beaufort of the Royal Navy, who developed this scale in 1805. And this is a way of looking at the sea state and understanding what it actually is in wind speed. For our purposes on the summers, we've sailed in everything below a strong breeze. We've been out a couple times when it goes over 25 knots, but we try and avoid it. We're interested in basically a moderate breeze, fresh breeze, or strong breeze. Moderate breeze bringing 11 to 16 knots of wind, fresh breeze bringing 17 to 21 knots of wind, or a strong breeze bringing 22 to 27 knots of wind. I look at it as a moderate breeze is around 15 knots, a fresh breeze is around 20, and a strong breeze is around 25. Beaufort gave descriptions to recognize all three by their characteristics. Using the Mark I eyeball, we can see if the forecast is right or wrong and adjust our plan accordingly. Moderate breeze, for instance, has frequent white caps, what he calls white horses, and again, it's around 15 knots. A fresh breeze, it means that the waves are more pronounced with many white caps and a chance of spray coming off those white caps, and that you should start seeing that around 20 knots. A strong breeze, there are larger waves, foaming crests on the waves, and much more spray. And you see that around 25 knots. In conclusion, let me say that if you're watching this video and have an interest, you should be volunteering on the summers. I started volunteering about 10 years ago. I've sailed on a variety of vessels to get experience in sea time, but I got my captain's license on this one. Come down and go sailing with us. Find out what it's like to sail on a piece of maritime history. She's worth the effort. Thank you for watching.